Have you been following the Power Station Wars of 2025? Because it's getting crazy. You know, over the years, we've been covering power stations a long time on this channel, and over the years, it's always been the 2K box. That's been like the go-to portable, and then they escalated, and now OUPES, who I've always thought of as a discount brand, a good budget brand, but not one of the top players, has come out with this. This is crazy. We're going to put it to the test. And at this level, there's only really so many kind of power tools and stuff I can hook up to it. And it's going to handle them all just fine. So we're going to do something different. You guys may know on my other channel, 3D Print Rancher, we run a print farm, aka the Print Ranch. And I've got 10 of my core machines all hooked up to this thing. And we're going to heat up the heat beds because nothing draws electricity like heat, all right? You can run a motor, you can do also, but heat really is where it's at. And all these have heat beds that go up to 100 C, and we're going to max them all out one by one and see if it can take it. Because if it can handle that, if it can handle running my Print Ranch at all, starting one right after the other, I think it could probably handle the stuff in your home. So let's jump into it. All right, we are at the Tower of Power here, and you can see they're all connected through these super heavy industrial cables. This is like something you'd charge your Tesla or something off of. This thing, so all the connections, they're over on this side. So you got 2 ports over here. Then you've got the power plug, that's for charging to the wall. You got your fuse right there. You got the front panel right here. We're gonna turn the power on this. And right now we're sitting at 64%, and we've got all the side ones. They're charged up there. You can see the lights going on there. All right, then on the front panel here, we got the Internet of Things, so you can connect to the internet to an app. You've got the 12-volt plug here. This is your cigarette lighter style adapter there. We got the DC connections. We got QC3, PD 140, 120, or USB-C. That's insane. We got the QC30, and then we got over here, look at this. We can run 24 volt, 20 amp, or 12 volt, 30 amp there. All right, over on the right-hand side, look what we got here. We got a 30 amp max plug. That's your typical, AKA RV port. You see how that outline there? That all dedicates that to that 20 amp max circuit, okay? Then we got the 20 amp max over here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 120s. We got a 240, 240, and 120 over here. This is your 4-port. You got all that running through this, and we're going to get this whole Print Ranch going. Now, those 3 over there, they're running on a separate circuit. They're working right now. They can't take a break. And if you know what that is, put it down in the comments here. But anyway, that's the new P2S. That's the old X1Cs. That's the P1S. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. Let's get these things powered up and see what it can handle. All right, to do that, we press this, and that's going to turn on the AC ports here. As you can see, and I'm not plugged into the wall. We're not drawing any other power, just the power of this unit, all right? All right, the inverter just kicked on, and the inverter is going to draw a little power for itself. All right, we are sitting at a draw of 87. It says it'll run for 48, 49 hours, kind of goes back and forth. Let's start off, all right? We'll come down here. We're in the app. We're going to start with, Detroit, who's right there. So we're going to take Detroit, and we're going to come over here, and we're going to take that bed, and we're going to take it up to 100 C. All right. Detroit's now, I don't know if you can see it right there on the panel. It's starting to cook up to 100 C. And we can see over here, we are at 345. All right, let's start with Omaha here. We come over here, we click on the bed. Go 100 C, done. All right, let's just keep crushing this sucker. Let's go to Denver. 100 C, done. All right, 100 C, done. We're going to go to, let's see, where's Denver, Detroit? Let's go to 100 C, done. Omaha, where's Omaha? Las Vegas, 100 C, done. Nashville, 100 C, done. All right, here. Here we go, 100 C, done. Amarillo, come on, 100 C, done. And Salt Lake. All right, we have all of these now warming up. 2, 3, still going. Not enough. Let's see if we can draw some more. We'll go to Cheyenne. Nozzle temperature, 280. Done. Come on, 280, done. Come on. Omaha. Right, trying to figure out. Amarillo. All right, you're good. Done. Denver. That's 10. That's 10. Detroit. That's 69. Done. Las Vegas. Done. Come on. Done. Paris. Paris? Paris is the big, you can't see Paris. Paris is around the back. Paris is the big boy. Let's get Paris cooking here. All right, that's one side. We got dual nozzles. We're taking them both up, and we're gonna take the bed. We can do 120 on that bed. That's all on this network. 3782. How long can it hold it? This is insane. Just wanted to show you real quick. That's Paris right there running. We're at 280. We're at 280. We're at 120. We're at max temp on all of those. All across the board, we are at max temp. And it's handling it just fine. Of course, the output's gotten a little bit lower now because they've all maxed out. So now they're just sitting and cooking at that level. They're not trying to raise an ambient temperature. But again, it could handle it just fine. And remember, as I said, nothing draws power like heat, okay? There's a lot you could do to test these things, and I realize it's not flashy. You don't get to hear machines running, all that kind of stuff. But all of these are heating up to max temperature. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 machines. 3 of them are the P1S, and 1 is an H2D. If you know 3D printing, you know that sucker's a beast. That's got dual nozzles, so we're looking at 11 nozzles, 10 heat beds, and not a whimper out of the OUPES. I don't know how to pronounce it right. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. This thing, you know, I was stunned, and I thank them. By the way, they did send this to me to review. I really appreciate it. It's not a sponsored video. They're not paying me to do this. But I got to tell you, I just love seeing a brand like this step up to that next level. Because we've been seeing, you know, the top brands kind of max out. They've gone from being, you know, changing and just really creating new stuff to just kind of polishing what they've got. And now, OUPES, this is going to be pushing the market. This is to see and I'm sorry, but I'm going to call it what it is, a B tier brand. To see them coming out with an A tier product is really going to challenge the market. It can only be a win for all of us. All right. Now let's go over, while this thing cooks, we're going to let it keep cooking, see how it handles all this. I'm going to take you over to the desk, and we're going to talk about a bunch of the features. We're going to talk about pricing and availability, all that kind of stuff. All right, you saw it in action, so to speak. Let's talk about all the features this thing comes with, all right? It is chock full of stuff. All right, 20 millisecond EPS. That means the switchover time is 20 milliseconds or less, which is what you need to be able to do this. Is it the fastest out there? No, but it's good enough for that, for basically anything you need, including delicate electronics. 100% charging time in 84 minutes, up to 3,600 watts, 240 volt AC input. You've got the 4.6 to 4.14K watt hour capacity. All right, that's it. So just the box itself is coming in at 4.6 watt hours of capacity. It's expandable up to, I mean, just imagine that, 41,000.4. Don't want to cut them short there. Now remember, as I always say, it's not just, a lot of people are like, oh, it's gas, oh, it's electric. No, it's both, all right? If you want a whole home solution, you need gas and electric. I mean, but the reality is most power outages in the United States last an hour or two, okay? If you want to be able to have your whole house just not even blink, you got to go on electric. I mean, gas is a whole, that's a different kind of solution for a different kind of problem. But then again, people talk about hurricanes and stuff like that. Once that comes and wipes through it, those gas stations nearby, you're not going to be able to refill. And I get emails from people every year who didn't listen, who are like, I thought I could just be on gas. And then for like a week or two afterwards, we still didn't have power and nobody had gas. Or they had gas and they couldn't pump it. You got to take that into consideration, all right? 10-year lifespan because it's got the LiFePO4 batteries, 5+1 years of warranty on it, dual voltage. This has become a thing recently, and only the top tier companies are doing it. This is going to run 120 and 240 at the same time. So you can, the stuff in your house that needs 120, fine. The stuff in your house that needs 240, it's running on a separate circuit. You saw that there in the video. All right, you can take it anywhere. It does have the luggage style handle and wheels. This isn't something you want to be taking with you every day, but if you do need to move it, it's at least easier. The smart app control. This is going to let you do all sorts of stuff. We're going to talk about that in a moment. The 12 volt, 24 DC output. If you want special, you guys who know you're going to need that, it has it. All right. For the rest of you, you probably, if you don't know what it is, you're probably not going to need it. Easy setup. It's got the direct connect to a power transfer box. You can just, it's got the 4-point, that's the 4 plug we showed earlier with the locking lugs on it. That just plugs into that. Saving bill with scheduled tasks. What they mean there is you can go in there and say, charge at night, run the stuff during the day, and that's going to allow you to save money depending on where you live in the United States. Up here in Montana, it's not really an issue. California, that could save you a bundle, all right? And 3 ways to charge, AC, solar, and you can charge AC and solar at the same time. But I said we're going to talk about here the outputs. So it does not have a lot of the DC outputs like we see on, like there's only 3 USB-Cs. There's the 12 volt or cigarette lighter kind of thing. Why isn't there more? Well, this isn't the kind of thing you're taking camping with you, all right? You trust me. I mean, could you? Yes. Could you get a hernia? Also, yes. It's movable. It's not exactly portable, if you know what I'm saying. It's not the thing you want to take all over the place. So really, you're sitting there next to it. They're not expecting you to be sitting right there. They're expecting you to have it wired to something else through the house or whatever, where you have your plug and then you're charging your DC off of that. All right. And then as far as launch day perks, let me pull this up here. We've got 30-day free returns without any fees, up to $818 in free gifts. This is the last month for the 30% tax rebates. If you want to jump all over that, and trust me, you do. All right, 5x24 service. That means they've got 5 days a week. They take weekends off. I take weekends off. I'm sure you do too. 5+ 1 year warranty, 180-day price match. Never overpay with them, and save up to 38%. Of course, it's Black Friday week, so we're expecting that. Now you're saying, what's the price? Let's talk about the price. All right, well, let's get into that, okay? $2,500, $2,499 is the price, but $1,800 off now with the coupon there. The Guardian was $16.99 coupon. That's going to drop that price down to, $16.99. If you've been following power stations, a 2K box used to be $2,000 up until like January of this year. And then the price wars started, and then OUPES got on the mic, is like, nuke it from orbit. Just to be safe. Oh my gosh. $1,700 for a box like this is unheard of. You're not going to get this whole home kind of power, portable kind of power anywhere else like this. This at this level with this kind of build and all the features and everything else, this is insane. All right. Now, they do have a nice little comparison sheet. I can pull this up here. Of course, they're coming up with these numbers. You can figure it out for yourself. But it gives you the price per watt on it at that price at $16.99. That's 36 cents per watt hour. The capacity, 4,600. Expandable to 41.4. The output, 6,000 watts. As you can tell, I never had a chance. I never had a chance at overpower. I could plug everything in I own in here, and I don't think I could draw more power than that. I mean, that was a lot of draw on that, and I don't think I've got enough to really do anything else. So I think you'll be fine with that kind of wattage. Input voltage, 120 and 240. Battery lifespan we talked about. It's got the LifePro 4 batteries. AC output, you got 4 NEMA 5, that's your typical 120. So you got 1 NEMA 620R, that's your 240 amp. A NEMA TT, that's your RV 30 amp plug, all right? Then we got the NEMA L1430R, that's your 120 to 240 30 amp, and then the NEMA 1550R, that's your other 30 amp plug there, okay? Now note, those are 30 amp. There's no 50 amp on here. Even if they do look like a 50 amp plug, it's only going to be able to handle 30 amps. That is a negative on this. DC output, it's got some basic DC output. I'm not really worried about that. AC input, I'll let you go through the rest of it. You can pause the screen if you want. 111 pounds on this. As I said, it's not super light there, okay? Then you can go through the rest of it. Anyway, as we said, I want to thank OUPES, or however they pronounce it, for sending this over. This thing is phenomenal. I'm going to see if I can find other ways to test it. Maybe we can do some YouTube shorts or something showing it used here and there if we can. If you got any questions, put it down below. I'll put the link to everything down below. You want to jump all over. Again, it's Black Friday deals. They have 2 sessions of shipping, all right? So they've got like 1,000 units right now. Once they sell through those, then the next shipment comes in. I think it doesn't go out until January. So if you want one of these soon, you're gonna have to move on it soon if you want it for the winter festivities, as it were. Anyway, if you like what we do here, go ahead and chop the old like button, smash that subscribe, ring the bell on the way out. You all take care, God bless, and as always, shine on.